Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with y'all how to make caldo in the Instant Pot. If you're new here, I also want to ask you to click that red button and subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications of every time I post new videos. And we're just going to jump into this recipe. The first thing we're going to do is wash our vegetables really well. I have this really cool brush that's specifically for my vegetables. And I also went ahead and washed my chicken because I noticed that when I have been cooking chicken from the store that it kind of has this sort of off taste that I really don't like, and rinsing it has really helped. And then I like garlic in my caldo, so I went ahead and diced some up and added it to my Instant Pot. Now at first you only see one Instant Pot, but I decided to pull out my second one because we're a large family. This day we were feeding 11 people, and so I needed my other pot. And so I added some celery, some carrots, and you can choose whether you want to take the skin off of your carrots or not. I personally like it without the skin. And a little tip is when you know you're going to be peeling stuff is to have a discard bowl on hand. That way you can throw all of your scraps in there. You can chop the carrots to whatever size you want, to bite-sized pieces, to larger pieces. I think that's the fun of this recipe, is that you can kind of be lazy with it and it doesn't really matter. It still comes out tasting good. Texture is really good too. What good would any soup recipe be without onions? So I'm adding onions to this recipe too. And you can, again, choose to dice it really tiny and fine. But I find that because we have cabbage in it, my kids cannot tell what is a piece of onion and what is a piece of cabbage. And so they eat it all without complaining or, picking pieces up and saying like, ooh, what's that? I'll also leave the recipe down in the description if you're interested in this recipe, and you can just copy it and you can find the recipe there. And then with my potatoes, I chose to use Idaho potatoes, but you can choose to use any other kind, like the russet potato, the red potato, sweet potato. And you can also peel the skin if you want to. I chose to be lazy this day and leave the skin on, and also to dice my potatoes quite large. I have had caldo with potatoes that were literally just cut in half, and then I've had caldo that was diced as well. Again, it's your choice what size you want to have the pieces of your vegetables. For the corn, you can choose to use corn on the cob. I didn't have any on hand, so I went ahead and used corn kernels. It works just the same. Tastes really good. If you choose to use corn on the cob, it will not change the cook time. It will be exactly the same. And then I divided my chicken into the two Instant Pots that I have. I chose to use chicken legs, but you can use chicken thighs. You can actually use beef. You can use chicken breast, whatever cut of meat you want to. The flavor still turns out really good from the meat you're cooking with. I prefer to use meat also with the bone. I feel like there's just a lot more nutrients in there. And then I filled up my Instant Pots just about to the max line. And these are 8-quart Instant Pots that I'm cooking with. And I added 1.5 tablespoons of salt to each pot. I wouldn't over salt this just because most people tend to add salt when they're sitting down to eat it because the potatoes absorb a lot of salt. So I'm just kind of eyeing this, and that's what I chose to add. And then we're going to close our Instant Pots, plug them in, and then we're going to pressure cook them for 30 minutes. The soup option tends to already be set at that. And if you didn't notice, I did not cut up my cabbage and put my cabbage in at this point. And the reason I didn't do that is because if you do, the cabbage will disintegrate and it will have absolutely no texture to it when you are done cooking. And also having cabbage in the Instant Pot when you cook is not a pleasant smell when you go to release the pressure. And I cut my cabbage to about 1 inch by 1 inch. I know this is all the vegetables you're seeing me put into my caldo, but you can add different vegetables as well. I've had caldo with zucchini, yellow squash. You can add herbs into this. When I did add the salt, at that time you could have also added other spices if you wanted, but I personally really like the flavor that just the vegetables and the chicken give to the broth. I've never had caldo with bell peppers, so I can't speak for that or any other thing besides these things I am mentioning. So if you have had it with those ingredients, leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about it. And when we're done dicing our cabbage, we're just going to set it aside until the Instant Pot is done cooking. And as soon as it's done cooking, we're going to do the instant release. And that's just where you let the pressure out right after it finishes cooking instead of waiting for it to naturally release.
I have this really cool valve that I use that aims the pressure away instead of straight up to my cabinets or to shelves. And this is what it looks like when it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to the saute mode and add my cabbage at this point. And you literally only want to add the cabbage right before you eat. If you know you're not going to eat for another few hours, then go ahead and wait, because it only takes like 2 to 3 minutes to cook the cabbage down. You can cook it a little longer if you want to. I like my cabbage to have a little bit of consistency to it. And the reason you want to wait to add your cabbage right before you eat is because if you add it and you let the soup sit for a while, the cabbage tends to get mushy and it feels literally like it's just melting in your mouth, and it also looks unappealing. So if that matters to you and you want your soup to look nice and to have a really good texture, you should just wait. And once it's done cooking, go ahead and serve it.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked this video, found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it, and leave me a comment and let me know what you think, especially if you make it and you like it. And I will see y'all in my next video. Take care. Bye.